Hello, and welcome to week one of Introductory Psychology. I'm your professor, John Chansey. Hopefully you are in the right place. This is week one of an 8-week course in Introductory Psychology at OSU OKC. For many of you, it might be a bummer to be taking a class over the summer, but thankfully it is an online format, so hopefully that still allows you to kind of work with the material, read the material at your own pace. And if you're someone who normally travels over the summer, hopefully that does allows you to travel as well. You can take your laptop or your tablet and take this course on the go. I think that's one of the beauties of an online course is it does provide more freedom there. So anyways, welcome to Introductory Psychology. I'm your professor, John Chansey. I'd like to introduce myself before I begin talking about the course in week one. I am a doctoral student in my first year at the University of Oklahoma in the Educational Psychology program. I received my master's in secondary education from the University of Central Oklahoma a year ago. And between that time, I've also began working as an adjunct professor for OSU OKC. This is my third semester teaching courses. I've taught online, I've taught in person for OSU OKC. I've taught lifespan development as well as introductory psychology. And then prior to that, for 3 years, I was a AP psychology and on-level psychology instructor for Putnam City North High School in Oklahoma City. So when it comes to introductory psychology, I feel like I've got a lot of experience teaching this course. So that's a little bit about me as far as my education and why I'm qualified to be here, but also a little bit more personal about me. I'm a big fan of traveling. I recently got back this weekend. I came back from Denmark, from Copenhagen. In between the spring semester ending and the summer semester started, I went to Copenhagen and also took a train ride to Sweden as well while I was on that side of the world. It was a beautiful, wonderful experience. So I hope many of you also will get to do some traveling this summer, maybe overseas or even in America. I'm a big fan of traveling both abroad and domestically. So with that, I'd like to also kind of outline the course a little bit. Introductory Psychology is a really interesting course because we touch on a broad range of topics in psychology, but we really don't spend a lot of time on each individual topic. So you're going to get a nice taste of a bunch of different topics in this course, like psychopathology, memory, sensation, and perception. And just know that if any of these topics that come up throughout the course, if they interest you at all beyond what you're reading in the course, know that many institutions you can take full courses over each of the topics that we're going to cover. So you can take an entire course on abnormal psychology or psychopathology if that's something that interests you. You can take a whole course on sensation and perception. You can take a whole course on research methodology. So again, this just kind of gives you a nice taste of what to expect. And so if your interest peaks up, make sure to jot it down and keep that in mind because you probably could take a full course over that same topic if you really are interested. So we're going to be covering 14 chapters, and each one is kind of considered a different topic in psychology. So you're going to get a nice exposure to 14 broad topics in psychology. So with that, I'd like to take a look at our schedule, which of course is posted on D2L for you guys to take a look at. We do have an 8-week schedule, of course, so that means we're going to kind of be moving fast. And what I mean by moving fast is we're going to be covering about 2 chapters a week. Beginning this week, we're going to be covering chapters 1 and 2. We'll be doing 2 chapters a week up until week 7 and week 8, in which case I've kind of slowed things down a little bit for you, and you'll have chapter 13 and 14. You'll get to look at those over the course of 1 week rather than they're spaced out over 2 weeks rather than 1 week, excuse me. Another important thing to notice about the schedule are exam dates. We have an exam on week 2, week 4, week 6, and week 8. So about every other week, you're going to be taking an exam. Exams 1 through 3 will cover 4 chapters each, whereas the final exam will only cover 2 chapters. We have 14 chapters, and I just divided it up over the course of 4 exams. With that in mind, exams, be prepared to take an exam about every other week. With that in mind, we also have 3 writing assignments. We have 2 response papers and 1 scholarly article review. I will post more details about each of those assignments as we get closer, but know that your first response paper is due in week 3. Your second paper is due, it looks like, in week 5. And then your scholarly article is due in week 7. So you'll have something to work on practically every week. But also know this, that every week, weeks 1 through 8, we will have a discussion post. that will be due. And the reason for this is that an online class, discussion boards are about the only way that myself and the students get to interact with each other. It's our way of communicating and getting to know one another and exchanging ideas. So it's very important that you are actively involved in the discussion posts throughout the semester. We will have a discussion post every week, and each week they're worth 15 points. You'll earn 5 points for making your initial post, and I've put out specific guidelines for how I want your posts to be formatted. You'll receive 5 points for responding to one of your peers and 5 points for responding to another peer. So I am requiring that you respond to 2 peers. And please look at my guidelines that I posted as well for your responses. When you respond to a peer, I'm not looking for some sort of shallow, hey, I agree with this, cool post, thanks. I'm looking for you to start a conversation. That can involve asking for clarification or maybe providing your own personal examples to relate to, but it needs to be conversational. Conversations in the real world don't start where somebody tells you a bit of information and you just go, hey, cool, thanks for sharing and see ya. No, it's usually an exchange of ideas. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. So make sure you have read the guidelines for discussion posts. That is located on D2L for you as well. So be aware, we have discussion posts weekly for the entire course. We have an exam every other week, and we have 3 writing assignments. All of that is listed on the schedule and in the syllabi, so please make sure you have read both and are aware of both. So segueing into the syllabi is also posted for you guys. My email address is listed there for you to contact me, john.b.chancey@oakstate.edu. That is probably the best way to get a hold of me. And typically I will respond pretty quickly to emails. Kind of give me a window, give me a few hours to respond, but I have it set to go to my phone, I have it set to go to my computer, so typically I'll see the email very shortly after you send it, and I'll try to respond as soon as possible. It's very rare that I would ever take more than a day or more than a few hours even to respond. So the important part of the syllabus I think that you're most concerned about is the breakdown of the points. We have 4 exams that are worth 100 points each. Your 2 response papers are worth 50 points each, and your scientific article review is also worth 50 points each. And the discussion posts, there are going to be 8, and they'll be valued at 15 points apiece for 120 total points. So for the total course, there are 670 points total. So, obviously if you, in order to get an A, you need to get, you can only miss 67 points before you drop from an A to a B. So keep that in mind. So please take a look at the syllabus that is posted for you guys to look at. If you have any questions about the syllabus, please email me as soon as possible. If there's anything confusing or anything that needs to be clarified, please email me. Another important component of the syllabus I forgot to mention is our textbook. And it is Experience Psychology by Laura King. You guys are lucky, or I think this is the last semester that OSU OKC is going to be using this text. So maybe you can get it pretty cheap. Maybe you can get a used copy for pretty cheap. But your text should be by King, and I think it's okay. Maybe I think there are some older editions, like the 2nd edition, that should be fine. You didn't hear that from me, but this is the text you should be looking for: Experience Psychology by Laura King. The 3rd edition is what I have. Feel free to use an older edition. I can't vouch for the chapters or anything like that, but the information should be more or less the same. So there's the text. We'll be referring to that pretty often. I've also posted PowerPoint slides that come directly from this text. I've posted those to the D2L site as well for you to use. Okay, so that's the schedule, that's the syllabus. Last thing I want to discuss before I go is my expectations for week 1. I know it's week 1, but we've already got to get going. We've got to jump right into things. So my expectations for week 1 are that you read chapters 1 and 2. Chapters 1 and 2. So chapter 1 is kind of like a brief overview of the history of psychology. Really, this is kind of showing you where psychology has come from historically and kind of where it's going in the future. You're going to encounter a lot of names that are going to frequently come up again in later chapters, such as Sigmund Freud, Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers, Ivan Pavlov, B.F. Skinner, etc., etc. But it's very important that you familiarize yourself with these names because, again, you're going to see them in for example, Sigmund Freud comes up in almost every single chapter. So you need to have a good understanding of kind of what Freud is getting at early on rather than later. So chapter 1 is a broad history overview of psychology. Chapter 2 is where we get into biopsychology. And biopsychology is where biology and psychology meet. This is where we're going to look at sort of the biological aspects of human behavior and human thinking. So we're going to spend a lot of the time looking at the brain. More specifically, we're going to get down to the finer levels of the brain. We're going to look at neurons. We're going to look at the whole brain. We're going to look at the endocrine system. We're going to look at the different ways the body communicates with itself, with hormones and neurons, etc. But again, the stuff that we talk about in this chapter, when we talk about parts of the neuron, when we talk about different parts of the brain, we talk about different neurotransmitters, those things are going to come up again and again and again throughout the course. So these two chapters are really important because they, in a way, they sort of set the foundation for the information that you're going to be needing and building upon later in the course. So again, it's really important that you pay attention when you're reading chapters 1 and 2, take good notes, ask questions if you have them, because there's a lot of information. It could be a little overwhelming at first, but if you're good at organizing your information, it won't be a problem at all. And once you've completed chapters 1 and 2, I would like for you to go ahead and post onto our discussion board on D2L. Begin by introducing yourself, provide a little information about yourself, then follow the discussion prompt, and then afterwards respond to 2 of your peers. And my expectation each week is that you post and respond to 2 peers by Friday, the end of the week at 11:59 p.m. That gives you 5 full days to read the chapters. It gives you 5 full days to take notes, to process the information, and to create a post. And the reason why I ask for you to do it by Friday is that I grade these on Saturday morning. I get it all. I'm on a schedule. I'm also a student. I'm taking summer courses. I'm teaching courses as well. So I have to be kind of on a regimented schedule in order to keep track of everything. So I'm going to be grading what you have turned in. Saturday morning, I'll start grading those and giving you feedback and posting grades, etc. So it's very important that you get those in by Friday. I do penalize. I penalize late discussion. You can turn in discussions late, but they are 40% off automatically when they're late. So in order to receive full credit, please make sure that you are posting on time and you are meeting their criteria. So again, please review those guidelines. But I don't want to take too more of your time. It's a pretty summer day today, and hopefully you're already getting into some of our material and maybe doing some reading. My recommendation is that when you're reading this text, break it up into chunks. Don't read chapter 1 in one sitting. I mean, you can do that, but you may not remember everything. My recommendation is maybe read half of chapter 1 today, read the other half tomorrow, and then go to chapter 2, read half of that one day, and read the other half the next day. Break things up. Your brain can digest information more when it's in chunks versus when you're eating the whole thing. I mean, think about trying to eat a whole cake versus eating a piece of cake. It's a lot cleaner. It's more likely to happen if you're eating one piece of cake versus trying to shovel the whole cake in your mouth. It's really messy at that point. So anyways, so go ahead, read the syllabus, check out the schedule, read chapters 1 and 2, respond to the post and all our discussion post as well as 2 of your peers, and then let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Please feel free to communicate with me, whether it's email or our discussions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have and clarify any confusion. So with that said, have a great week 1, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, take care. Bye.